All right, welcome everyone to our self-care class. You are in for a real treat. We have two presenters that are extremely experienced with doTERRA. We have Jolie DeCleva and Candace Whitner, and together they have over 15 years of doTERRA teaching experience. So Jolie has been sharing doTERRA for over 10 years now. She loves salsa dancing and she dreams of having a beagle puppy for a therapy dog someday. And she also has found her true love and passion in health coaching. So if you're looking for health coaching services, that is something that she is doing and it really lights her up. And then we have Candace, who has been teaching for about 5 years with doTERRA. And she loves spending time with her family. And she recently on Monday became an aunt for the 4th time and has a new little baby nephew named Lewin, which is such a fun name. And she has a passion for teaching. She's been mentoring in college, high school, and middle school students for the last 9 years. And she also is an introverted extrovert. So somebody who needs to recharge herself, but because she loves helping people, she has learned how to take care of herself and self-care so that she can also help other people. So Jolie and Candace, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Regal. I am going to go ahead and share my screen and get started here. All right. So today we're talking about self-care, and I am not the best person to talk about this topic until recently. This is an area that I really struggled in, and so my goal today is to just share my journey and how and why this has become such an important part of my life now. I can't even believe I didn't do it before. And then Candace is going to talk a little bit later, so we'll catch up with her in just a bit. Okay, so the first thing I want to say is that I used pretty much every excuse in the book to not do self-care. I was pretty sure that it was righteous, to not care for myself. I claimed the Bible. I claimed John 15:13, greater love has no one than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. So I thought if I laid down my life for everyone else, that was righteous. And then I found some other verses. It's like years of that whole fill your cup idea, right? Fill your cup first and then you can serve other people. It did not penetrate for me. I heard it so many ways, so many books, so many self-help, it never penetrated. So this is what finally hit me. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. And I realized, oh my gosh, I need to care for me. And I had a whole mindset shift of I'm actually valuable and I need to nurture myself and learn how to take care of myself. So if you're like me and a super busy person, I'm a mom of 5, although 3 of my kids are now out of the house, which is crazy. I'm a farm wife, part-time health coach. I homeschool my youngest. Like life is busy. And if you're like me and you think about self-care and it just feels like there's no way, like that is not even a possibility. That's where I was too. And I'm hoping to change your mind on that. Okay, this is my family. This is my grandma. It's actually my stepdad's stepmom is in the middle. When all 5 of my kids were 10 or younger, like in this picture, I thought life could not get any harder. I really, this was so much work and such craziness. And then my beloved Grandma Edie in this picture moved in with us, just for fun. And I thought this was going to be as hard as it got. And unfortunately, I was wrong. Currently I am fighting for my husband's health, and you guys already know this. I talk about this every time. It's kind of central, but here's my husband, Philippe, and he has Parkinson's. And his journey with Parkinson's is affecting everything, like where we live, how we school our kids, my job, his job, our whole entire future, it's been like rocked. So a favorite quote of mine, and I may have even shared it here before, is that it's from the Mindfulness Self-Compassion book, and it says, when there is a measure of suffering, one must meet it with an equal amount of nurturing. And so that's my new self-care view. When life is busy, hard, disappointing, sad, whatever, that we need to create a routine that counteracts that, right? That's going to hold us up and build us up. And I think about, I have this saying that I have with my kids, that I'm not raising my kids, I'm loving them up, like just I'm loving them up. And the more I love them, the taller they're getting. And, I kind of joke about that, but that's sort of how I see self-care, is we're loving ourselves up, right? We're supporting ourselves. We're nurturing us. So here are a couple tips for my journey. And with my health coaching and public health information, we need to do pretty much everything to avoid fatigue. When you set into fatigue where you're really run down, that is the precursor for all disease. So whether it's autoimmune, prediabetes, cancer, whatever, when we constantly just burn the midnight oil and we're pushing our body all the time, we will get sick. It's just kind of a matter of time. So that's my first thought, is avoid fatigue at all costs. The next one is, there is lots of scientific evidence proving the benefits of self-care. For example, it reduces or eliminates anxiety and depression, reduces stress, improves concentration, minimizes frustration and anger, increases happiness, improves energy, all kinds of benefits. So if you haven't totally adopted the pros of self-care, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of good reasons to get started. The next one is to tap into your higher power. So we absolutely have to learn how to release the weight, the stress, the worries, the fears. We have to be able to release those and get strength outside of ourselves, or else I don't think we can make it in this world. So you can insert your higher power in there, but that's a huge part of self-care, is actually releasing. And then the last one is grow and search out the lesson in your journey. So when we focus on ourselves and we're in tune with what we're feeling and how we're caring for ourselves, we actually have an opportunity to really grow, and we have an opportunity to embrace whatever we're supposed to be learning instead of just missing it, right? When we're so busy, we miss those lessons. So one thing, when I think about self-care, my biggest objection was when am I ever going to do this? This is crazy. And then I also had this idea in my mind that self-care was only a massage or a pedicure, and that would cost money, and that was an objection too. So here's my definition of self-care. Adopting a lifestyle of nurturing yourself 24/7 with a mindset that when I am well in mind and body, I can show up best for all the good works I'm called to do, right? So this is a huge shift for me, but this is what I'm adopting now. So when you think about when making your life a priority, making yourself a priority, self-care really becomes like a lifestyle of goodness towards ourselves. It's like we're really kind to ourselves, and we're considering ourselves, and we're, quite the opposite is all that negative self-talk we do and beating ourselves up. And we need to shift, right? We need to shift and nurture and take care of us. So this might take seconds, like putting on your adaptive oil, just breathing your oils. It doesn't take long throughout the day to do that. Or, and importantly, we need to plan in sort of our routine of self-care needs to be built right into our day. So you may wonder where to start. If you're not doing self-care, here are just some basic places to start. Number one, sleep is extremely important. We are exhausted and worn down if our sleep is erratic. And anyone who's traveled to Europe or, even to Florida, right? We can get off of our circadian rhythm by, staying up all night or, doing a red eye or whatever. And we feel awful. And one of the easiest things that we can do for ourselves as far as nurturing our body and really caring for ourselves is going to bed at the same time every night and waking up at relatively the same time every morning, so that you give your body that rhythm of healing, regenerating, recouping, digesting, all of that stuff overnight. You're aiming for 7 to 8 solid hours of sleep. Doesn't mean you don't get up to the bathroom, but you're getting good quality sleep most nights. So that's the first thing that you can do for self-care. The second thing is self-care is not about avoiding all stressors. And for example, exercise is a stress on our body, lifting weights or going for a run or doing yoga. It's hard work, but it's definitely self-care. So we need to get off of the mindset that self-care is just relaxing and doing nothing. It's actually being intentional and doing things for ourselves and supporting ourselves. So other stressors that are good for you is sunlight, fasting, doing deep abdominal breathing. If you guys have ever heard of Wim Hof, this is excellent. It's a stressor on our body that actually supports strong mitochondria, which is going to energize us and make us feel great. So we need to stop settling for feeling ho-hum and not having energy and feeling kind of low. Like, we have these oils, you guys, like we can use the oils to feel amazing, and we can make choices in our life that's going to support us being energized. So intentionally stretching, intentionally doing deep breathing, intentionally going for that hike are all really important and active forms of self-care. High intensity training is really kind of in right now. It's like doing these short bursts of really intense exercise. And that is awesome if that's working for you. But if you're already really stressed, which means you have a lot of cortisol flowing through your body, then you might want to readjust and do something like walking, something a little calmer. And a good test for that is after your workout, if you feel energized, then that's a great workout for you. But if after your workout you feel just exhausted, then you're doing too much. You need to back up a little bit. And self-care in that instance might actually be lightening up and doing a little less. Okay. All right. The next one is paying attention to your stress response. So all of us, especially during this crazy COVID, whatever you want to call it, we all stay in this low level of fight or flight. And we need to be aware of that. And we need to bring ourselves down to rest throughout the day. When we start to feel that tight chest, or we start to feel that headache, or whatever that stress feeling is for you, we need to do something about it. We don't just ignore it. So some of the things that help me, and some of the things that you might try, are meditation. Our doTERRA oils are amazing in so many ways, and Candace is going to touch on which oils are great for self-care. But putting oils in your bath, applying oils on your pressure points, putting it in your diffuser. Some other ideas are, if possible, get in a sauna or steam room or something like that. You can also do deep breathing, play calming music, have sex, sing, play an instrument, dance, do yoga, stretch, nap, try red light therapy, like a brain tap, which is a type of meditation. Do light exercise, take time in nature, take time with animals, practice mindfulness, do guided imagery, pray, try visualization, positive mantras, self-massage, hydrate, support your adrenals with supplements, do things that bring you joy, journal your emotions, write what you're thankful for. Basically, a major goal of self-care is to stay out of fight or flight. So whatever works for you, those are just some ideas. So we need to find ways to bring our body down to rest throughout the day and not settle for staying in that crazy, worked up fight or flight space. I used to think that fight or flight, like that adrenaline rush that I got, was my superpower, because I could get anything done. I could force myself to stay up late, whatever. And now I know that that is not not the way to go. We need to bring ourselves down, and that we're actually way more productive, and our brains think much more clearly when we are calm. The next one here is we must nourish our bodies. So I feel like I've talked about this quite a bit in this group, but making yourself a nourishing meal is one of the most important self-care steps you can do. Avoiding inflammatory foods like fast foods and packaged foods, and replacing that with foods that have live enzymes in them. Eating whole, real foods. All packaged foods have preservatives that are going to create inflammation, so just avoiding those. doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack vitamins are formulated specifically to be anti-inflammatory, so they're a great choice. Also, I put frankincense under my tongue in the morning and before bed because it's highly anti-inflammatory, so that's also a good choice. We might need to change our mindset about what we call good food, like what's a treat. Because I used to think that like going to get a donut or a cinnamon roll was like a treat, and that, I craved it, it was comfort food. But if we change our mindset, we can realize that that's actually really not blessing my body, right? Like, we want to avoid sweets, and like baked goods and soda and fried foods are not good food. Avoiding those foods are actually giving our body a gift. And if you're not eating a variety of colorful fruits and vegetables, you are likely having some nutrient deficiencies, which is going to deplete you, make you feel really run down. So a good step for self-care is to cook your own food at home, take your doTERRA vitamins. doTERRA has an excellent food enzyme called Terrazyme, and doTERRA also has a prebiotic probiotic combination called PB Assist. And every once in a while, doing a cleanse is a great idea. So I'm personally right now doing the doTERRA's Cleanse and Restore. It's a 1-month kind of gut reboot. So those are all just ways of supporting your body that are self-care. It's basically living a wellness lifestyle, right? And then the fifth one here is we have to overcome our time barrier mindset. I really used to use time as a major excuse to not do self-care. And I had to get over the mindset. And one thing that really helped me was while training to be a health coach, I learned about a Japanese productivity study that showed that when you work, the best working schedule actually is 90 minutes of productivity and then 20 minutes of mind detaching, physical break. And so when we think about that, like, our body's actually more productive when we take breaks frequently, and which goes against our whole like pull an all-nighter, more is better. It's actually not. Like, studying and doing whatever work you're doing in short bursts is more productive. So taking time for yourself during those off times, and just in life, building in time for yourself, after a work period, is a really healthy, productive way to live. So you're going to get more done, not less, when you start taking care of yourself. And then the last one here is we simply have to add fun and joy into our life. when, whether it's cleaning or crafting or reading or whatever, organizing, whatever sort of makes you feel good, makes you feel accomplished and brings joy, like creativity. And when you play games with your kids, or sometimes I even just play solitaire by myself while I'm eating lunch, just so that it's like distracting, just something fun. Like we need to add that into our life, and that adding fun and joy is self-care. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Candace now, who's going to share her self-care routine and kind of her top 5 self-care rituals.
Awesome. So, yeah. And so I'm kind of, the 5 that I've listed here, I've sort of kind of grouped some of the top 5 things I do throughout the day. But I'm also going to go kind of through my day a little bit, and sort of the routine that I do and that I've been building. So it's interesting to me that I have to agree with Jolie that sometimes it's like, I don't necessarily feel like I've always been qualified for this, for self-care, until I started doing it more. And just a kind of a quick thing with that is that I really had to add this in and find this in my own life, especially in the last just even few months. And I'm a teacher, and if any of you are teachers, or even just have kids or family that, during this whole time, I don't know how many people I've talked to, both myself and others, that the closest I've ever come to just no longer having a passion for what I love has been in this year. And just coming to that point of just being so drained, so burnt out, so close to quitting, my job and all this, but then realizing it's not that's the problem. I still love that. And so kind of trying to reconcile, this is what I love, this is what I feel called to do, these are the people I love, but this is also who I am. As Regal mentioned, I like to call myself an introverted extrovert. I love people. I love hanging out with people, with family, friends, with my students. But if I don't, when I hit the wall, when I hit the barrier that needs to be, I have to almost completely go into like hermit mode and go completely, it'll feel like I have to take a week or two just to be able to make it the next 3 weeks, and then take another week or two to take, and it's not normal. It's not good. And I always used to think, oh, this is fine. As long as I can quickly recharge one day, I can make it through the rest of the week and it'll be great. And just coming to realize that that's not a good way to do things. And so as I've been working on my own self-care routine, it's finding that same discovery of that when you have rest, things are actually going a lot better. So I have 5 things. Contemplative and creative expression. I kind of group this as anything that allows me to both kind of do something creative that lets me think and process. So that could be journaling, it could be crafting, scrapbooking, making a photo book, whatever it may be. This is one, that's what that is. My unwind exercise. So, I have my typical exercise routine, and then I also have what I like to call unwinding exercise, where again, I can kind of detach and just sort of be re-energized. So I love to do nature walking. I love to do yoga, or just my own self dance party sometimes. So that's one of my favorites. Relaxing baths. I would buy a house just for the bathtub, to be totally honest. This is, I don't know why we have moved away from baths as a culture. Baths and throughout history have been a way to administer medicine, a way to administer health. And so I think we should bring that back. And then detoxing from work and tech. I can tell you there have been days, and you probably relate to this, where I have been almost on the computer for 72 hours straight is what it feels like. And that is just not healthy. It's not good. It drains you. It makes your brain do all kinds of crazy things. I start to see things. So I have really started to emphasize detoxing from work and tech. And then making self-care appointments. This one's been a huge one for me to actually, I used to feel really guilty when people would ask me to do something and I did not. And I had this whole hour planned where I was going to read a book or drink some tea. And I felt like, okay, well, that's not really that important. I could probably do that later and say yes to this. And so learning to say no and also learning to make an appointment with yourself sometimes for longer self-care sessions and realizing that this is an appointment. It's just as valid as a doctor's appointment, as a massage, as a whatever this appointment is, because it is you meeting with yourself. Or in my case, I like to think of it when I'm also having quiet times or prayer times, meeting with God. It's a time where you really are making this appointment. So that's kind of a summary to take you kind of through my day briefly. And this is a work in progress. I am constantly, especially the last few months, tweaking this and editing it as I go and just learning what works for me. And I think that's a key to self-care is it needs to be personal. That yes, there are kind of things that work for everyone, but it still has a personal twist to it. And that's what's going to make it so worth it. So I tend to, during the year when I teach drama, we all get up and have rehearsal at 7 a.m. So I most mornings am up between 4:30 and 5:30 a.m. And I used to hate that because I was such a night owl. Now I love it because it takes me back to time where I can watch the sun come up and I can, whether it's actually at home or in some times of the year when I'm at school already, it's just that appreciation of almost kind of seeing life start anew for the day and taking time in that very beginning of the morning. So I like to wake up and before I do anything, my grandma who passed away this past February, she used to every morning sing This Is the Day or a really fun song. And so sometimes even just before I even get out of bed, I will say a short prayer or I will sing a quick song or for me, music's huge. So I will do something before I even get out of bed to just set the correct tone for the day. And I will refuse to look at the news or at my phone for at least a half hour to hour before I am out of bed or before I'm out of the house and everything, just because that can be such a negative. We all know things that are going on and we don't need to see it right first thing in the morning. It'll be there an hour later. So I make a point to just focus on the right positive things before I get up. I take my supplements. I love Lifelong Vitality that Julie mentioned earlier. I like to pick, I definitely have my normal oils like frankincense or adaptive that I do every morning, but I also sometimes like to pick just a special oil for that day. So what I'm feeling I might need, it could be motivate, it could be passion. Maybe I need hope. Maybe I need peace. Maybe I just need breathe. I'm maybe stocked up a little bit in this cold weather season. And so I like to pick a personal oil and take that, not only put it on before I leave the house, but take it with me. Sometimes I feel like exercising in the morning. Sometimes I am an afternoon exerciser, but I try to make a point of doing some kind of movement, like a dance party while I'm getting ready. Talking about the time thing, it's really easy to combine tasks that are fun. So for me, if I'm cooking breakfast or making coffee, it's really easy to turn on the music and just dance while I'm doing that. And so finding a way to just get in a good mood, but also take care of the things I need to and get an exercise before I leave. Then, of course, when I'm at school, I am either in a classroom or office or meetings most of the day. But one thing that makes it convenient for me, but I think that it would be really good for everybody, is we have hour-long classes or hour or two long meetings. And so what I try to do is when every passing period comes and the bell rings, I make a point to just take a walk or take a lap or take a 5-minute breathe break when I have that passing period time. And so it's a little bit built in for me, but it's also been a struggle before to just say, oh, hey, I've got planning period. I'm just going to keep working for 3 hours straight. And that way I'll be more productive. And then I can take a break at lunch. So instead I've been switching that up and trying to every hour either set a timer or when the bell rings, get up and move, change of scenery, go get some more coffee or tea, go get a snack, something like that. Go talk to someone, say hi, just something to get up and break the movement and reset. And like that study that Jolie mentioned with the 90 minutes of productivity and 20 minutes of break, I'm working towards more break time because I think that's very important. But even just taking 5 minutes on the hour, I have seen huge changes in my ability to finish the tasks that I need to, have more creativity in those. So like when I'm lesson planning, and I like to get out an oil then too for, breathing. So I'll take a little breathe break. Then for lunchtime, a huge thing for me has been just sitting down and actually taking time either by myself if I need a bit of a break, or actually going and seeking people out and socializing instead of just working through lunch, where I have my lunch on the right and I have my work on the left and I'm working while I'm eating. And it's just, you don't even notice what you're doing. It's tempting to just get something really fast that I can hold in one hand, like a burrito or like something simple, but it's just not as healthy. So for me, getting a salad or something that I can't work with maybe, and just finding a way to actually take time at lunch. I come home early most days, kind of in the afternoon, and take care of the dog, and who also loves her oils. And then I try to kind of take a little bit of a break from work, from school, and focus on family or focus on whatever else I have priority, but that kind of leave the work at work, and then do home tasks, maybe cleaning if I need to do the dishes, something like that. And setting my diffuser so I have some extra energy while I'm doing that, put on some music. And then I kind of try to ride around dinner. That's if I'm going to watch any kind of TV or movie or something, I kind of try to limit it to just, still having 2 hours before bed where I don't have any technology on. So, and I kind of try to not eat while I'm watching things. Sometimes I do if I'm by myself, and with the dog, we'll just hang out and watch a TV show, but I try to make it something fun, something more relaxing. And then kind of that last 2 hours is my time to just detox from the day. That's when I tend to do my creative expression. So if I want to journal, if there's been something frustrating from the day, also trying to though counterbalance that by like journaling a little bit of positive stuff from the day. And then, taking a relaxing bath, which I love putting oils in my bath. So some Epsom salts, a little bit of coconut oil if I want something extra for my skin. And then I love Adaptive or Serenity or lavender, something relaxing in my bath. And if I need to kind of unwind some more, I'll do a little bit of stretching, or I'll read a book and just kind of hang out and relax, and then head to bed. So that's kind of where I sort of apply all those things throughout the day. Lots of opportunities to find places for just where you can multitask and take care of yourself. So those are sort of my way, both the top 5 that I can do at any time, and then also how I incorporate them through the day. So
Awesome.
I'll pass it, Billy.
Thank you, Candace. Okay, let's see here. Whoops. There you go. So my routine is a little different from Candace because I've got kids running around and husband working at home and stuff, but similar in that it's constant throughout the day, adding in self-care. So I use my oils and doTERRA products all day, and I'm sure you guys all do this, but you wake up and you put on the doTERRA skincare, and you use the doTERRA deodorant, and you use the mouthwash, and you use the toothpaste, you take your doTERRA vitamins, right? It's just like so much part of my routine all day long. When I'm working, I have my oils, if I have a hard client, I'll choose something calming. If I am falling asleep, I'll choose something energizing. So definitely using my oils is my first number 1. Number 2 is I really prioritize exercise. I like to exercise during the lunch hour. Doesn't always happen, but definitely by the end of the day, 4 o'clock or whatever, I will try to get outside. Even on the coldest days, I just bundle up. Or we do have a gym, so sometimes I will go there, although I detest working out inside. I just like to do weights and then be outside for my aerobic, but in a pinch, I can do something. I do have a super fun hip hop class on Sundays. So that's sort of just a silly fun thing. And then practicing mindfulness. I feel like I've done an entire class about mindfulness, but basically pausing, letting yourself feel what you're feeling, and then recognizing that other people also feel what you're not alone in it. Other people are also suffering. And then that third step is self-compassion, of talking to yourself like a best friend. And then the last step is, what do I need right now? So mindfulness is amazing for when you have strong emotions come up and you're just like, because our normal response is to shove aside or push down our emotions. And this, when you really work through them, then they move through you and you're not carrying the weight of them. Sorry, dry throat, excuse me. Okay, the next one is meditate daily and pray. And one of the things that we do at our house is something called brain tap, which I alluded to before, which is actually a helmet that flashes lights in your eyes and in your ears, because it's red light therapy. And it is amazing as far as like conking you out, but not asleep, but just like zoning you out. So I had a really hard time focusing on meditation and like staying focused, and so did my husband. And one of the big important parts of his healing is he has to learn how to come down and be calm. And so we invested in this brain tap. So if you are like me and you need something extreme, then you can check out brain tap. And then of course praying like every day, sort of. I am to the point where I have to like take that time to release and be refilled every day, just to get me through the day, hour, moment. And I strongly recommend that. And then cleanse. Really every day I do some type of cleansing. Either we have a sauna now at our house, mostly that we got for Philippe, but that I use. So I'll get in the sauna, or a bath with Epsom salts and essential oils or baking soda. If I'm at the gym, I'll go in the steam room. Sometimes, like right now I'm doing the gut cleanse again, try to do that at least twice a year. So those would be my top priority things that I do. And similar to Candace, my routine of self-care is very much, it is my routine. It's not separate. It's not something I'm adding. It's like, that's what I do, or else I won't make it through the day. So yeah, I'm not going to go through my entire routine, but you get the idea. So our goal today for you is to give you ideas and just to kind of shake up maybe your thinking about what self-care looks like. And so hopefully this is giving you some ideas so that you can create your own routine that's super personalized to you. And so Candace is going to finish here, not quite finished, but she's going to talk next about the top 10 oils for self-care.
Yeah. So, and this is, of course, focusing specifically on essential oils. I mean, there's so many products and all kinds of things that are amazing. And we've talked about some and things. This was really hard to narrow down because, one, it's just super personal to each person. And that's kind of why I've sort of grouped them into categories. And also, doing my own research and then looking at what other people say. And it's so personal. And then there's also, I feel like, different categories for oils that are really helpful for self-care. So I started with just a basic category of citrus oil of your choice. And so of course that's very broad. I mean, that could be lemon, lime, grapefruit, wild orange. It could be citrus bliss. It could be elevation. It could be any of the ones that contain citrus oil. But in general, science and just personal experience can show us that citrus oils are very uplifting. And I almost like to call them as like sunny oils. And they just bring that bright warmth and uplift and energy. And so I think it's important to find one that kind of speaks to you. And also some of them, for example, lemon can be very beneficial in cleansing properties. So I think even within the cleanse process with doTERRA, you can even, there's a recommendation of drinking your water with lemon oil to help process and digest. And so citrus just is very cleansing and uplifting overall. Second, I've put nature oils. That's also a broad category. I think it's very important, especially depending on where you live, but also during during winter, when you can't get out into nature and, or even if you can, but you can't for very long, or if you live in a place where you'd need more access to nature. I find that it's really important to pick something that reminds you of nature even. So to give you that little piece of nature, even at home. So for some people, I love fir oils. So like Siberian fir or Douglas fir or all the different spruce and cedar woods and all of the woodsy oils. There's floral oils. There's herbal oils, any of these that really something that speaks to you that in a moment where you need the outdoors while you're indoors, that kind of brings that little piece of it to you. I've put breathe on here. Breathe, one, just for good sleep. If you need to breathe better at night, I find that sometimes that helps me to just diffuse some, but also for the exercise piece, since exercise is such an important, actually both breathe and deep blue that I have on here for exercise and also for taking care of yourself after a long day. Sometimes you just need to breathe or you need to kind of help with some aches and discomfort from the day. And so I find that those are all really good. And so then along with that, one of the big self-care pieces I feel is taking care of yourself in cleaning. So if to keep your environment cleansed and healthy for you, I really like to put on here both On Guard and Abode. You could also put things on here like Air X or different, or Purify even. Just those are all cleansing for your environment. And of course, On Guard, we know internally cleansing as well. But I feel like those are important to keep your environment and your space healthy and clean and to support those kind of properties. For 6, I've kind of focused more on the relaxing and the sort of helping with stress. And when you just need some help being able to unwind and stop a bit with both lavender or Serenity, which has lavender. Also on here, I thought about putting Huga, one of the newer blends of that sort of taking the time to just unwind and that kind of warm, comforting hug feel, and just something that can help with both sleep or just unwinding from the day. Frankincense, I think both Jolie and I don't know if I mentioned it, but I also like to do frankincense under the tongue. Very supportive with anti-inflammatory elements, but also just such a grounding sort of oil, both to start and end the day. Balance is another one, which is actually the grounding blend there. For relaxing and calm, and balance, sometimes I like to put on the bottom of my feet when I first get up. To sort of just this concept, even in my head, sometimes visualizing it of like, I'm trying to balance things out before I even step out of bed or step out of the house for the day. And then also adaptive, huge one that I think could go on a lot of these categories. But for mental support and stress and emotional health, I think, I know a lot of people have called it their road rage oil or things like that. Sometimes I like to call it my step out in the hall and adapt before I go back in the classroom oil. So I think, and any of you who have kids probably feel the same way sometimes. So I think adaptive is a huge one to just help you adapt to situations and take care of yourself in a moment where maybe you don't know what else to do and you just need some flexibility to adapt to something new. And then last but not least, I had to just put this one because I couldn't choose one over the others. But the emotional aromatherapy set, which of course we have cheer, console, forgive, motivate, passion, and peace. And all of these, I feel like sometimes when you're thinking that you need more of those things, something that can take care of yourself is if you need in a moment just some extra cheer or just some motivation or some peace, just reaching for that and having a breathing break. And so those are kind of all just different types, and they're huge categories in some ways. And I mean, we could put so many more on here, but I think those address a lot of the various elements of self-care and just taking care of yourself throughout the day. So yeah, there's those.
All right, thank you, Candace.
Yeah.
Okay, so to conclude, really the goal of self-care is to support you and nurture you, and as life gets crazy, as life gets tough, we need to lean into our self-care and meet the craziness with more self-care, not less. You know, typically when we get really busy, we forget ourselves. And I want to encourage you to lean into the self-care. I have had such a mindset shift about self-care that I love this quote. Hold on. There it is. And it is from The Brain's Way of Healing. Norman, I'm not sure how you say his name, Doinge, I don't know. But he says that self-abandonment feels nearly as unthinkable as the idea of abandoning my kids. And so I just want to say, if you're like looking for permission to do some self-care, here it is. Like, you are important, you're loved, you are worthy of spending time and money on, you're worthy of, saying no. I loved what Candace said about really personalizing the self-care so that really nurtures you individually. So we need to upgrade our thinking on self-care. And so please take care of yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much. I learned a ton. I think I'm going to start singing before I get out of bed. What a fun idea. And then I love, Jolie, the 90 minutes of productivity and then the 20 minutes of detach and kind of reset. Those were some things that stood out. So I appreciate all the insight. I'm going to turn off the recording, but then we'll open it up for questions. So if you have any questions for the presenters, stick around. And if